Okay guys, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to UV unwrap the fish. So UVing is taking the 3D object and representing it in a 2D format. So this allows us to texture it. So to start, what we need to do is we go to UV editor, like so. And then the toolkit should be 1. And what I first like to do is I grab the toolkit and I just like to drag it and just lock it onto one side like so. And since we don't need the outliner, we can hide that for now, and we don't need the modeling toolkit right now either, so that's fine. As you can see, these white stroked lines around the fish, these are known as seams. So what's happened is all of these we can just the way I like to do it is, so the seam is the line of the cut, so which is used to, so essentially it's just used to like define where a texture starts and stops. So if we have these seams in every single one, you'll be able to see the lines from one part to the next, and we don't want that. We want it to be seamless. So if it's like this, there's two ways of deleting it. You can either delete the UVs like so, or I mean, what I just like to do, I think what everybody does, is if we just go to create and planar map it, it just deletes all the seams like so, and then we have an actual basic fish right now. So what we first do is if we press the checker map like so, that should be available to you. If not, I'll post a link in the description for you to see, just in case, because in my 2018 and 19 it's a bit strange. There's a different method for doing it. Okay, so to start, as so you can see, it says U1V11001. If it's pointed this way and you can read it normally, that's fine. That means it's in the right direction. So for example, in this case it's the wrong way around. So what would happen is if we texture this way, if I put scales going from the left to right, it's going to go left to right. Now if I put it on this side, it's going to go right to left, and it's the wrong thing will happen. Another thing I need to teach is this part shaded. So for it is basically what I've just explained. If it's blue, as you can see, this side is blue, it's the right way around. If it's red, that means it needs to be flipped because the textures will be in reverse. But before we start any of that, we can actually, so we can actually start UVing. So let's go into edge mode like so, select all the edges like I just have, double click. Now in the UV editor, we can press shift, right click, cut. And what's that's done is it's created that white line. So now what we can do is if I press shell, if I press right click, UV shell, and select this side, where does it select both sides? Let me check. So if I press that and then I press W, yeah, I've split it in half. So I've got my correct side and my incorrect side. So what we can first do is, even though I've cut it, what we always want to do in UV unwrapping is these rectangles, we want them to be squares, okay? So squares mean the textures won't come stretched. So there is two ways of doing it. You could either manually do it. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong one. You could either manually do it and make a square, as you can see, and now the fish's proportions have come out perfectly in the UV. Or you can press right click, unfold, unfold, and that will do it even more precisely. And just rotate it for some reason, which is fine, which you can just hold J and then, oh no, it hasn't rotated it, sorry, has it? That's fine. So once again, let's do that again. Unfold, unfold. like so. And now this is also in the right side, because you can see it says, if we put it next to the words, it says UV101. If it isn't, however, you can press shift right click, and there's a button. Oh, actually, sorry, there's not a button. If you hold on to one that's not flipped, there is. If you go into modify and we press flip, there. So now it's gone to red, which is wrong. But so now if it's red, we can go back to modify, flip, and now it's blue. So now when it textures, it's going to be the right way. Essentially, I would say that's it for UVing, because it's just a simple fish. However, you guys need to learn how to UV effectively. So I'm going to, and you guys are also going to follow along. We're gonna cut all the fins, so you can get a bit of experience on UVing. So let's start. Let's go on edge. What you could do actually is you could just do it here, but I personally just prefer it just on the model itself. I believe that's done it actually. Double click. Yeah, it has. Okay, cool. Brilliant. So then on here, shift, right click, cut, and then we go back to UV shell, and it should have separated them. Where's this one? Yeah, it's cut both of them. Fantastic. Like so. So let's start from here. Hide that for a second. Keep these. So now it's going to be the hard part. Remember, when we're UVing, we need to have each edge needs to be connected to each other. So like so, and then oops, cut. So now UV shell, like so, and then onto the final one, back on the edge. Have these selected. There we go. So now if I press cut and then right click UV shell, should be able to move them. There we go. No problemo. So now we have the whole shell and we've distributed them around. So how UVs work is we need to have everything you make always needs to be here in this one UV U1 V1 1001. Everything will always have to come down to here. So now this is known as packing UVs. So what I like to do is we want to always make sure these are the same size. So what I do, actually let's move this a bit forward so it's not distracting. So what I do is I get these and I'll scale them down to the same size, like so. You know you're creating a new UV sheet if your UVs go, as you can see, it creates a new UV sheet. So we always want to keep it in that sheet, like so. I believe. There we go. So that's fine. That's fine. Since the fish is the main part of the body, so now what we have to do is we have to get the rest of it in. So hold J to snap, like so. Then put these together first. Then drag them all, and we can now put these here. So remember, we need to utilize all the space. We want to make it as big as we can, but at the same time we need to utilize all the space. And if you don't want to hold J, that's also fine. So it's just a bit of fiddling. You'll eventually figure it out. Let me see. Oh, so as you can see, I kind of pulled that so much higher. Yeah, I can pull this so much higher, meaning now. So the next part is we need to do the rest of them, the rest of the fins. Like so. Rotate them so they're, oh, it's because they're flipped, so they will, that's fine. And then we can just place these fins where you like. Like so. And then we have the next part. The next fins, we'll do these. We can place these here. Like so. And finally the last fins, since they're the smallest ones, you can just leave them here, that's fine. And there you go, we went from using 5 spaces and now we've packed them into one. And just in case, what we can do, we can press right click on these, right click shift, right click, unfold, unfold, and there you go. They are now all square and perfectly aligned, perfectly square, and none of them are none of them are flipped. So now, as a result of this, what's happened is obviously unfolding them does make them bigger. So, which means I have to now reshape these, move these out. So, I mean, I guess what I could do is I could just place one fin here and one fin there, like so. I mean, obviously we could have easily put them in here, but at least they retain their size, which isn't. At the same time, it might be just good practice to just leave it there and just show like the practice of it. So just double check these are the same size, as I didn't scale them together. And yeah, voila. We now have packed UVs. These are, oh, one other thing. You see stuff like this. Game engines hate overlaps. So it's imperative that we don't have overlaps. So we'll just make these a bit smaller so I can move this up, move this a bit down. Then I'm thinking actually what we could do, if you want bigger, since these are the small fins, these will have the least amount of details anyway. like so. So as a result, what we can do is, like, what's this? Oh, I forgot to cut this part. That was important. It's fine. You guys get the message. That's fine, like so. And there you go. Now we have perfectly packed UVs and a perfectly UV'd fish. And yeah, we're done for the next part now. Cool, save your work. And let's call that a day.